Well, it is no secret that the Sens needed a big bounce back game tonight, and we got it. I would argue that this was their best complete game since before the road trip started. And speaking of that road trip, it is done, finally, and they do finish with a record above 500, so I can't complain. And it just makes it so much better the fact that it's against Montreal. Ah man, this one felt good tonight, man. So Tuesday, December 2nd, the Sens played their 26th game of the season against the Montreal Canadiens. It was a 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Start Time. So as mentioned, this is the final game of a 7-game road trip. Finally, this team is back at home in the next game, which I'll get to a little bit later. So this was the second meeting of the season between these two teams. The Sens lost 4-3 in overtime on November 1st, so it was a close one. So the goalies, Linus Ullmark in net for the Sens and Samuel Montembeault in net for the Canadiens. So these two teams have very similar records. In fact, their records are almost identical now. So the Sens were 12-9-4 coming into tonight, 6-6-2 on the road. So they definitely want to try to improve on this, and they did tonight. The Canadiens were 13-8-3 coming into tonight, and 6-5-1 at home. So you know what? There isn't really too much I can complain about. There is one thing, if you really want to nitpick, there is one thing you can look at and be like, okay, this part kind of sucked, but this feels good, man. I love this. And again, just the fact that it's against Montreal uh, just makes it that much sweeter. Alright, so let's go ahead and break down tonight's game and let's get into the stats. So the Sens end up winning by a score of 5-2 against the Montreal Canadiens. And this is what I meant, right? Look at their records. Ottawa is now 13-9-4. Montreal is 13-9-3. So literally almost identical records. It's insane how even they are. So we'll go ahead and break the stats down. So the shots 29-21. I would have to go back and look. I don't remember when the Sens allowed 21 shots or less in a game. Like, that's amazing. They really locked it up in the third period, which I'll get to as I go through my notes, but man, that's they played a really good shutdown game tonight. Face-off percentage, once again, the Sens do dominate 52.9% for the Sens and 47.1% for the Canadiens. Now, this is the one thing that if you want to nitpick, maybe you would like this to be better. Special teams were not good. So they were 0 for 2 on the power play. Montreal was 2 for 3 on the power play, so they were 1 for 3 on the penalty kill. So yeah, special teams were kind of terrible, but it didn't hurt them, right? Like, if your special teams are gonna have an off night, then you gotta play well 5-on-5, and they did. They were great 5-on-5. I mean, they outscored them 5-0 5-on-5. So it's at least I think they were all 5-on-5. I don't believe there was a 4-on-4 goal. Pretty sure there wasn't, but yeah, just you can't complain about too much outside of the special teams. Penalty minutes, 10 for Ottawa, 8 for Montreal. Hits were 33-21 in favor of Montreal. It felt like Ottawa had more than that. This game was physical throughout the entire night. Like, it was crazy. Block shots, 17 for Ottawa, 15 for Montreal. Giveaways, 10 for Ottawa, 14 for Montreal. And takeaways, 7-4 for Ottawa. And these two teams will meet again on January 17th. That'll be the third meeting, and they do meet one more time after that as well. So the season series is even now. Both teams have won one game each, and yeah, we'll go ahead and go through my notes here. And again, I feel like there isn't really too much you can complain about. I'm feeling pretty good about this one. Outside of the special teams, really not too much I can complain about here. So, going into the start of the game here, it was a very fast pace to start this game. Like, these teams, they both came in after suffering a bad loss in their last game. Of course, the Sens lost 6-1 against Dallas. It's just crazy, like, sports, right? Hockey. Like, last game, I felt like I was actually kind of concerned about this team. Like, that was probably their worst loss of the season, arguably. And now tonight, this is their best complete game in quite a while. Like I said, I would probably say it was before the road trip started. So it's been a while since they played a full solid 60 minutes like this, I feel like. So Eller would take a tripping penalty nearly 3 minutes into the game. So there was a shot that was stopped by Allmark. This was on Montreal's power play. And as we all know, Ottawa's penalty kill struggles. So now this was weird. So there was a shot that was stopped by Allmark and he went down and he was hurt. It kind of stung him a little bit. So Montreal would end up having a tap in not long after this. So I don't know exactly what happened to Allmark here. He would end up staying in the game, but that shot stung him. I didn't see exactly where it hit him here, but he was down. He was laying down for a few seconds. This was on Montreal's power play, but he was clearly not in it completely, right? So, yeah, Montreal ends up having a pretty easy tap in here on the power play. So, at this point, I'm kind of thinking like maybe Allmark should have stayed down and got a whistle. But yeah, that's kind of an easy goal for Montreal on the power play. So, the goal was scored by Slavkovsky at the 3:37 mark, and Caulfield and Suzuki draw on the assist there. And Montreal goes up 1-0 early, so I'm like, okay, this is not a good start. It didn't look good in the first few minutes. But shortly after that, Clevin makes a nice play to gain the zone, and he would feed Zetterlund in the slot, and he would score. Zetterlund scores again. That's his, I forget what it is now. Is it 4 goals in his last 6 games or something like that? He's kind of on a roll now, and you love to see it. So Zetterlund scores 24 seconds after Montreal takes the lead, and that's the best way to respond to a goal against, right? You just score one the other way. So Zetterlund does score at the 4:01 mark of the first period from Clevin and Spence, and we're tied at 1. Clevin had a very good game, by the way. This was probably one of the better games I've seen Clevin play. He was solid tonight. So this was a feisty start. Both teams are finishing their checks, and it went on the whole night. Like, I'm just gonna say this right now, dude. If these two teams find a way to meet each other in the playoffs, oh boy, that would be entertaining. I would be all for that. So you never know, right? It could happen. And when was the last time they played each other in the playoffs? Like at least a decade, probably? Like 2015, somewhere around there. It's been a while, and yeah, if these two teams met in the playoffs, that'd be something. So yeah, this game has a clear edge to it early on. These two teams do not like each other. It is very apparent. And it makes it more entertaining. So Greg would go for a big hit on Gallagher, and he missed him, and Greg would actually almost go into the Montreal bench because of this. It was kind of funny. I thought I'd make a note of that. So Pinto would have a jam play at the net that was stopped, and it would lead to a scrum, and both teams would get a penalty out of this. So we would play 4-on-4 after that play. So Evans would high stick Kachuk, and the Sens would go to the power play. Of course, the Sens do not score on the power play tonight. So this was a good-looking power play. Their power play was kind of, I guess, inconsistent is the best way I would explain it. Because, like, this one looked pretty good. They had a couple of shots, some good looks. And then, so there was a play. I did not put who shot the puck for the Sens. So it went behind Montembeault, and it was swept off the goal line, but they didn't show a great replay of this until the second period. I was watching this on the TSN broadcast, the Ottawa broadcast. For some reason, they didn't show a great replay of this until the second period. So I didn't even know what the heck happened at first, like, for the rest of the first period. But yeah, this puck was legit probably maybe 2 inches away from being across the line. It was on the goal line, and it was swept off the goal line. I believe it was Matheson that cleared it away, so that could have easily been a goal for the Sens. They could have easily taken the lead there, but they didn't, sadly. yeah, just it's weird how they didn't show a great replay of that until the second period. But anyways, so Kachuk would win a board battle in the corner, and he would make a very nice no-look pass, backhand pass into the slot to Zub, and he would score. Zub made a very nice play on this goal. So Artem Zub would score his third of the season at the 16:53 mark from Kachuk and Zetterlund. I don't know if I mentioned it, but that goal that Zetterlund scored, that was his fifth of the season. So that's a 2 point period for Zetterlund at this point. So he's starting to get into a groove here, and you'd love to see that if you're a Sens fan. So that goal, that would give the Sens a 2-1 lead. So we're looking pretty good here, especially after that one play there almost crossed the goal line. I'm like, okay, it feels good to get that one. So, and then this team, again, I don't know how many times I said it, but it's like they do something that makes you excited, and then immediately after they do something, they shoot themselves in the foot, and they kind of do it again here. So there was some bad composure by Pinto, and then he would take just a completely pointless cross-checking penalty. Um, there's no reason for it. Like it's not near the play. So Montreal would go back to the power play again. So the final 10 seconds, man, I don't know what it is with this team, but the final 10 seconds, they tend to just fall asleep. They doze off. It happens a lot with this team. I don't know what it is. So Montreal would move the puck around pretty well. They had some really good puck movement on the power play, but they don't get a shot, but they could have. They had at least probably 3 chances where they could have shot the puck, but they didn't. So that power play would end up carrying over into the second period. So we do end the first period, and the Sens have a 2-1 lead, so we're feeling pretty good, right? We're on the road, and the shots were just 10-6 in favor of Ottawa, so just 6 shots for Montreal. So, I mean, you look at the one goal they scored, it was like Allmark was kind of stung after that shot, so that's a pretty solid first period. But in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, this team has had good first periods lately, but then the third period is when they've been falling apart, which did not happen tonight, and I was very impressed by it. So, we do roll into the second period here. So the Sens do kill off the remainder of that power play. And then Stützle appears to get hauled down, but there was no call here. I feel like he's starting to get a reputation. Like, just, he does fall a lot. I know he does, but I don't know. I think maybe that was a penalty there, but there was one later on where I think the Sens probably got away with, which I'll get to. That comes later on, but yeah, so Kachuk would have a big hit on Struble, and this led to a scrum between the two of them. Nothing happened out of this though, no penalties, but there was a lot of scrums, a lot of hitting, just a lot of bad blood between these two teams, and again, it made it very entertaining. So Dylan Cousins would have a one-timer that was stopped, and this led to another scrum after the whistle. There was a lot of this tonight. The after the whistle stuff, it's like, I don't know, like part of me likes it, part of me doesn't like it. It's like, the play is not going on. I don't know, like I get it though, but still, it's entertaining, right? So Amadio would have a shot that hits the post, and this would actually hit the post and then hit the back of the pad of Montembeault, and it would stay out. So that could have been a goal. Now, at this point, I'm thinking, I'm not feeling great here because even though the Sens are up 2-1, that shot could have went in, and then the one from earlier in the first period, that could have went in as well, but it didn't. So I'm like, okay, the Sens, they could be up like 4-1 right now, but instead they're up 2-1, and, I'm not feeling great at this point. So, not long after I said that, actually, Sanderson would take it in from the blue line to the net, and he would score. So Jake Sanderson would score his 6th of the season at the 5:48 mark of the second period. Michael Amadio drawing the assist there, and the Sens go up 3-1. So this is a pretty good start to the second period. And then not long after that, a minute 10 later, the Sens would score again. Clevin would get it to the net, and again, Clevin had a really solid night tonight. I feel like it's one of his better games as a Sen, in my opinion. So Clevin would take a shot, gets to the net, and then Batherson would bury the rebound to make it 4-1 Sens, and we're just 6:58 into the second period, and Clevin and Spence drawing the assist there. And I do believe this is Clevin's first multi-point game as a Sen, so that's part of the reason why I think this was his best game, or one of his best games as a Sen. So they're looking pretty good right now, man. Like, they're up 4-1, and they could be up by more if a couple of those chances went in earlier, right? So this is a solid looking game so far for the Sens. So I lost my spot here in my notes. Montreal would go to the net and they would draw a tripping penalty. So this was kind of a weird play. So they call Amadio for the penalty, but it looked like it was Sanderson that tripped him. But I'm just thinking, oh, it's kind of a good trade-off. I mean, who would you rather have in the box, Amadio or Sanderson? I'd probably go with Amadio, right? So, uh, regardless, it's still a penalty. So there was a pass to the side of the net, kind of an easy tap in here for Montreal. They would score on the power play again. And again, if you're looking for one thing to nitpick, the special teams were not good tonight. So it's the one issue that I have with this game. But yeah, Nick Suzuki would score on the power play at the 8:50 mark from Caulfield and Hudson. Hudson I feel like he kind of had a quiet night tonight, sort of, kind of. But yeah, that would make it 4-2. But we still got a 2-goal lead, and I don't know. Just I was kind of feeling a little bit uneasy still, just because of those missed chances from earlier. So there was a possible cross-checking penalty on Sanderson right before that goal. Actually, they don't call it. I don't know. I mean, I've seen that play called a penalty so many times. We see it called many times, but they don't call a penalty there. So yeah, Montreal would end up scoring to make it 4-2. So then Jackeye, Arbor Jackeye, both of them were playing tonight, the Jackeye brothers. So Arbor would take a roughing penalty. So the Sens go back to the power play. And this is what I mean when I said earlier, like the Sens, their power play was just kind of inconsistent tonight. Because the last power play they had actually looked pretty good. They had some chances, they were shooting. But then this one, they weren't shooting. They had multiple chances to shoot, but they were just passing them up. They're passing it off, have a couple of good chances on the power play, but they can't score. Just way too passive. And again, I say this many times in my videos. This is every team does it, right? Just whether it's overthinking, looking for the perfect play, teams just tend to not shoot on the power play, and it drives me crazy. So, yeah, the Sens don't score on that power play. So Slavkovsky would have a good shot. That was stopped by Allmark. And then Montreal actually had a shot that went off the post. I did not put who the player was, but that was close. That could have brought them to within one goal. And right here, I put the Sens. It kind of felt like they were sitting back just a little bit too much for my liking at this point. It didn't get too bad. It wasn't too bad, but it just for a minute or two, it kind of felt like, oh, okay, let's not do this here, because after that post that Montreal hit, so the Sens would have a strong last shift here, and then there was a really long, like a rugby scrum right at the end of the period. No penalties came out of it or anything, but again, there was a lot of scrums and just a lot of hits, a lot of big hits too. So we do end up finishing the second period. The shots were 11-10 in favor of Ottawa in the second period, and still feeling pretty good. We got a 4-2 lead going into the third period. I'm feeling pretty good about this. So at this point in the game, the overall shots were 21-16. So, feeling pretty good here, right? So we roll into the third period, and there was a scrum in front of the benches, and McDermott was playing tonight. I can kind of see why. Like, we all know why he's there, right? So at this point, McDermott is just looking for someone to drop the gloves with. He went after Arbor Jack Guy a couple times. There were no fights in this game, by the way. But in my mind, I'm thinking like, okay, I know it's McDermott. We all know why he's there, but uh, don't even bother. Like you're up by two. Don't even bother with it. Like why get into a fight? Why drop the gloves and possibly give them momentum, right? But thankfully, again, there were no fights, which I'm honestly kind of okay with because they had the lead. So there were some penalties that came out of this play. We would play 4-on-4. So Clevin, he would find Cousins at the side of the net. This was a really good save by Montembeau. That could have went in as well. And I literally put in my notes, Clevin is having himself a night tonight. So just I really like the game that he played tonight, big time. So there was a big hit by Gallagher on Jensen, and this is what I mentioned earlier. So this game has stayed very physical throughout the entire game, like all night it was physical. So, or no, is this the play that I'm thinking of? Or I think it maybe no, I think it was later on actually. Yeah, it was later on. So Carrier would have a point, or sorry, he would have a chance. He would walk in from the point. He would actually lose the puck here. He never gets a shot off, but that was a good chance for Montreal. Dobson would have a shot that was deflected, and the puck kind of goes fluttering slowly in the air, but Allmark would reach up, like really high up, and glove it down, so that was a good stop by him. And then this is the play right here. So there was a possible missed tripping call on Jensen against Gallagher. I think Jensen did trip him. I think the Sens got away with one here. And then Gallagher would get up and he would take a retaliatory penalty, and the crowd is booing and they're not happy. And honestly, I kind of don't blame them because I think that was a trip on Jensen against Gallagher. I think the Sens get away with one. But to make it even worse, if you're a Montreal fan, on that delayed penalty, Tkachuk would have a shot in the slot and he would score. Brady Tkachuk scoring his first goal of the season on the delayed penalty, and the crowd is not happy at all. And I don't really blame them because, like, that probably was a trip on Jensen. But Tkachuk does score his first of the season. Of course, he was out for quite a while there. So he does score at the 12:43 mark from Stützle and Perron, and the Sens go up 5-2. And on this goal as well, Tkachuk ties Wade Redden for 5th in points in franchise history. So kind of crazy to think he's already top 5, right? Like he's still very young. It doesn't even feel like he's been with the team that long to be top 5, but that's amazing. And hey, he's gonna move up more, right? That just don't get rid of him. I would hope they don't, but yeah, that's a big milestone right there. So the Sens are kind of surprised I put this in my notes. Sens are doing a great job defending. Who would have thought, right? Based off how their last two games have went, the third period has been a complete disaster. So yeah, they're actually doing a really good job shutting it down. And in my mind, I'm thinking like, this is a road game. Obviously, they're in Montreal, but Montreal and Ottawa are very, very close in proximity to each other. So a game in Montreal kind of probably almost feels like a home game, right? So maybe just to be back in Canada, back close to home, maybe that helps. I don't know. But yeah, this was a very solid shutdown third period here. Just not a lot of chances for Montreal at all. Greg would have a bank shot attempt that would nearly that nearly went in, so that could have been a goal as well for the Sens. And that's pretty much it for my notes. So the Sens do end up winning by a score of 5-2, and they do finish 4-3 on this road trip. Now, what's funny, during my preview video, when I did the preview of the road trip, I predicted that the Sens would go 3-2-2. I was kind of close. I was very close actually, because I said 3-2-2, which would be 8 total points. The Sens go 4-3. Guess what? That's 8 total points. So I'm pretty close. I'll take that. And you can't complain. On a 7-game road trip, if you can go above 500, that's solid. So let's go ahead and go look through the 3 stars and the box score. So 3 stars of the game. First star is Jake Sanderson. He had a goal. Second star of the game is Brady Tkachuk. He had a goal and an assist. And the third star is Fabian Zetterlund. He also had a goal and an assist. Zetterlund has been playing much better lately, and you'll love to see it. So now let's go over to the box score here. Oh, we have a lot of stuff to read off for this one. So for the forwards, we got Tkachuk and Zetterlund, a goal and an assist each. We have Perron, Amadio, and Stützle with an assist. Batherson had a goal. And then on the defense, 6 total points from the defense tonight. So Spence and Clevin had 2 assists each. And then Zub and Sanderson had a goal. Plus minus, I don't think anyone was a minus tonight. Nope, nobody was a minus. So for the defense, we got Spence and Clevin were +3. Zub was +2. Jensen and Sanderson were +1. And then for forwards, we got Tkachuk, Stützle, Zetterlund were +3. And then Pinto, Batherson, Amadio, Giroux, Perron, and Dylan Cousins all were +1. And then time on ice leader, it's almost a tie. Oh wow, very, very even ice time here. So Stützle led the forwards with 18:55, but then Pinto was 18:54. So yeah, ice time was very, very close there. And then for the defense, of course, it is Sanderson, 24:56, leading all defense. And then for shots, Sanderson had the most for defensemen with 4. And for forwards, Batherson led forwards in shots with 5. And then for blocks, leading the forwards in blocks was Pinto, Amadio, and Perron. They all had 2. And then leading defensemen in blocks, Clevin and Sanderson with 2 each. And then hits, we got Zub, Jensen, and Spence with 1 hit each for the defense. And then for the forwards, not a surprise once again to see Dylan Cousins leading the way with 6 hits there. And let's go look at Ullmark's numbers. He has a good night tonight. He does stop 19 out of 21 for a .905 save percentage, so it's a quality start. And I mean, he allowed 2. You look at the one he let in, the first one where he was stung by that shot. I don't know. I still think he probably should have stayed down on that play, but I can't really blame him too much on that one. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I think you're feeling pretty good if you're a Sens fan right now, because this team is finally going back home. Finally. So just gonna do a quick little recap of the road trip. So I do have the schedule pulled up here. And this, again, you gotta be feeling pretty good if you're a Sens fan. So they started off strong. They won 3-2 in Anaheim. And I said Anaheim was probably maybe one of their toughest opponents, and they beat them. And then they beat San Jose, also 3-2, so that's a good one there. They do lose to LA in 2-1, and then Ullmark stole that one in Vegas, where they won 4-3 in a shootout. And, they're 3-1 at this point on the road trip, so we're feeling pretty good. I said that in the review video during the Vegas video as well. And then after that, this is where things they lose 4-3 to St. Louis. This is where the third period problems start against Vegas in that game. And then yeah, they lose to St. Louis, and then they get absolutely destroyed by Dallas, 6-1. And the third period, we don't talk about that third period there. So, and then they end off strong tonight with a 5-2 win. I just want to check something real quick. When was the last time the Sens won by 3 goals or more? Let me actually check this real quick. I'm not going to make a cut here because I want to get my reaction. I'm scanning every single game. Oh my god. Wait a minute. I'm still looking. Wow. So the last time the Sens won a game by more than 2 goals, you have to go back to October 27th when they beat Boston 7-2. So this was when they had the back-to-back 7-1 win against Washington, then 7-2 against Boston. So it's been over a month since the Sens won by more than 2 goals. So yeah, that feels pretty good. I didn't realize it had been that long, but holy cow, that's insane. But yeah, that's pretty much it for that. We'll do a quick little standings look here. So the Sens are now second in the Atlantic Division with that 13-9-4 record, and they are now 7-6-2 on the road. They are 5-4-1 in their last 10, and they're looking pretty good. Again, standings are still insanely close, so not gonna read into it too much. Just yeah, it's insanely close. You gotta wonder when that's gonna change, but yeah, that's pretty much it for this one, and very, very solid effort for the Sens, and the only thing I can complain about is the special teams. That's literally it. Outside of that, really not too much to complain about, so that's going to be it for this one. So the Sens, as mentioned, are finally back at home, so that's going to be on Thursday, December 4th, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Start Time against the New York Rangers. A little bit nervous for that one because, well, if you don't know, the Rangers have been very bad at home, but they have been ridiculous on the road. So the Rangers are 13-12-2 overall. Now listen to this. This is just absurd. They are 2-8-1 at home, but they're 11-4-1 on the road. I think they might have the best road record in the league, actually. I'm doing a quick scan. Yeah, they do. They have the best road record in the league. So, well, what a way to come back home, right? But we'll see. This is a big win for the Sens, so hopefully they can build off this and get some momentum and get a little winning streak going here. So, yeah, do look out for that one, guys. Once again, Thursday, December 4th, against the Rangers. The Sens are finally back at home, and they do finish this road trip above 500 with a 4-3 record. And hey, obviously not happy about a couple of those games in the road trip, mainly the Dallas one, obviously. The St. Louis one, I think they should have won that one against that team, but at the end of the day, if you would have told me that the Sens were going to go 4-3 on this road trip, I gladly would have taken it, so I can't complain too much. But anyways, I'm going to wrap it up here, guys. Thank you all so much for watching, and go Sens go.